Okay, happy weekend. Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Saturday, June 16th. And overall, the S&P, the market, had a pretty powerful finish to the week, basically finishing where we started from Globex on Sunday. Uh, Now, with that said, with the Greek elections, with Fed meeting coming out this coming week, it's hard to be too convinced on this rally. I think that you have to play some caution with it. Yes, it is important to be involved and to be a part of the trend, but I don't think there's any rush right here, right now. We had a few nice trades that have gone on the last week or so, and now we're looking into next week, see how the market reacts to Greece, and then the Fed, which comes out, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday, not sure. So S&P, we're starting to move away from this high volume area that, we were stuck in for 3 days. We break out, light volume for option expiration, or, for the quad expiration with options, futures, index options, etc. But at the end of the day, price is truth, and we saw this rally into the close of the week, and hopefully you took some profits into this strength, because really we were buying some names down at lower levels, and it happened to work out. So S&P, this looks bullish, but you have to wait and see what happens with Greece. One other thing is this, well, I guess you can call it 1300, the bottom of this high volume area. It's basically been support, and any dip below it has been a great buying opportunity. So that's something to be aware of, understanding that 1300 is probably your line in the sand or close to it. All right, going to go through a few other future contracts. Gold, we're coming up into this big high volume area. It's a nice trade off the lows, but you want to be long going into this high volume area, but you don't want to be overloaded to the long side, because after all, we are coming into potential trend line resistance here, and we want to see how the market reacts to that. Crude, stabilizing, trying to give us a bounce. I assume we'll see some type of bounce up towards 90 if the market continues to fall through to the upside. And then from there, I'm not really sure, but I'm not a crude trader. I thought it was going to be bouncing at 90, one even lower, which isn't a bad thing at all. Copper, getting a bounce off these major lows here, trend line lows. Let me zoom out so you can really see it. Every time prices come down to this trend line, we've seen a bounce. Here we are again. If we trade here for much longer, we'll get the point of control for the last 2 years or so down at this 340 level on copper. That is a recipe for a move up towards basically maybe 450 or so, maybe to retest these highs. So just be aware of that. And if you look at a name like, and just pointing this out, Freeport, down where it's bounced every single time. Why not here again? And that's important. So be aware of that, and look for an opportunity. All right, Euro. Let's see if it can pop up. Giving us an oversold bounce, have made new lows. I really don't. Here's your trend line or your channel, and then we have this going on. So whether this has any emphasis, I don't know. This trend line's definitely there. Any move up towards about 128 should look for potential sellers to step in and see if the trend continues to the downside. Of course, with the elections, I'm sure we'll get a pretty big move off of those levels. The dollar coming off of these highs, this double top here, and looking, now we're at the breakout level. Is it going to hold? I would be looking down towards around 81.40. Basically, let's call it the point of control from May. You look for a potential bounce. If we get buyers there, we'll probably see new highs on the dollar, which means lower markets. But if we revert back to this high volume area, this 80-40 level or so, sure, you look for a potential bounce there, but that's a pretty big pullback after what should have been, or what was a nice breakout to the upside. So we'll have to wait and see. However, right here, right now, with Greece, you can make any argument. You can make an argument for a dollar bouncing at these levels. You can make an argument for the S&P to sell off at these levels. You can also make an argument for higher prices. One thing about the S&P is, with this point of control right here, we're going to get a move, and that's what's important. And with the dollar, way extended to the upside, well, relative to the chart, of course, and the euro extended to the downside, we could have a nice push up in the markets, and that's something that needs to be, you need to be aware of. You need to be ready to put money to work. Hopefully you have some already. So I want to go through some names that we've been long, and kind of, give you the rundown. Halliburton, bought these pretty much on the lows, 2%ers, maybe less, about 2% off the lows. And we're seeing higher prices. We had a nice push at the end of Friday. I took some profits on Friday, and maybe it wasn't the right decision, but I needed to take risk off just in case Greece ends up being something bad, market gets slammed, say down 2% on Monday. I don't want to be in that situation. Therefore, I'm managing my risk. I'm taking exposure off, knowing that I can always get, involved again this week. Priceline, I had a member email me about this, talking about, potential sale of Priceline, and I have to say, right here, right now, I disagree. I think Priceline could easily see higher prices, at least to 670 or so, before we see a potential any selling pressure. And the reason why is, alright, we made our lows, no significant volume on the lows, but we had 3-4 buying days in a row, and then we had sideways consolidation. In this sideways consolidation, where was support? Exactly where it was before it broke down. So basically we have 3 days of a 3-day reversal, and now your 630 level is support. Kind of looks like the S&P. If you're looking for a potential target to the upside, I don't see why 670, which is the point of control for May. It's actually, 673, but close enough. You're looking for a potential reversal here with the moving average. Maybe we come up here and then you get a nice selling. But after a day like this, let's look at the buying. On a 3% up day, you have nice above average buying. That needs to be, you need to be aware of that. And plus, also, look at these entries that we saw at the bottom of the channel, at the bottom of the profile. And that needs to be, you need to be aware of that. Let's see. Really, this was the best entry, without a doubt. I guess you could say that, but not really. And, you just have to take note of that. All right, Apple, consolidating still under the moving average. I took advantage of a sale on the 13th, made some money off of it, and now it looks like Apple, it's hard to say again because of Greece, but looks like Apple may want to push up higher, and we'll have to wait and see. Look at it on an hourly chart. Got a pretty nice, candle at the end of the day. If we get any follow through on that on Monday, maybe it's worth taking a shot at on Apple. All right, the last name I want to cover, Google, value area low. Basically, back to these lows, close the gap. That's important for gap traders, though I see one down here. Not like I really care that much. But Google looks interesting, and if the market gives us a bounce, we could see a say $30 bounce on Google. I'd be looking back at these highs around 590, as a potential target where you would look to take profits. But it's it's counter trend, and that's something to be aware of. I'm showing a lot of tech companies, that's for sure. Intel, I've been involved in this really since this big dip, and it's starting to pay off nicely. Thought that we were going to see some resistance at this high volume area. We did for a couple of days, and then it just powered through it. So Intel is something you may want to look to buy on weakness. The buying pressure is starting to increase. That's good. Don't buy this far into a move. Wait for some type of pullback, and then a bounce, and then define your risk under that bounce. And that's how you try to get involved. If there is a trade set up, I will send it to members. So anyways, hope this helps. Take care. Have a good night.